Welcome back, everybody. And today's guest is well known in the YouTube reselling community. He peddles most of his tat on eBay and recently undertook a monumental task of rebuilding his barn for his business. But in doing so, nearly met an untimely end. Hey, I'm Car Boot Chris. I'm a full-time UK online reseller. I operate mainly on eBay and also Whatnot, but also some other platforms as well. I'm going to bring you regular podcasts all about reselling, hopefully to keep you company, to entertain, or maybe to educate, who knows. Welcome to the Everything Reselling Podcast. Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. It's episode 3, series 4 of the podcast. It's good to be back on, and we are cracking through this series quite quickly. So thank you all for watching or listening. And we've got another guest today. We'll bring him on in a minute. And just to introduce myself, in case you don't know who I am or you're listening, you've not got a clue who I am. My name is Car Boot Chris, or just Chris if you want. That's my proper name. And I'm a full-time reseller. I sell predominantly on eBay, and that is my main job. That is it. That is what I do to pay all the bills. And I also do YouTube. So if you want to follow us on YouTube, it's Cookie and the Haydens, or you can just search Car Boot Chris. You can type that into YouTube and it'll pretty much bring up most of my videos. There is some random guy on YouTube called Car Boot Chris who does come up there somewhere up top of the search, but yeah, so you can find me over there. In the meantime, I need to say a big thank you to our sponsors for series 4 of the podcast, Sellerator. And I'm using Sellerator right now. I use it for cross-listing, and also I use it for other growth and management of listings. You need to kind of have a look at it to fully understand. But by having a sponsor, it kind of makes the podcast sustainable as we carry on each series. If you're anything like me as a reseller, you're probably always looking at ways to make more money, to cross-list to different platforms, and to basically sell your stuff a little bit smarter. That's where Sellerator comes in. It's a built-in browser plugin that helps you to cross-list to different platforms, both in the UK and the US. I've tried a few different products like this, you know that, and this one actually is a bit of a game changer. It's an all-in-one sort of tool. You can also use their growth bots for Depop and Vinted in the UK and Poshmark as well in the US. You can relist items, you can bulk edit listings, which is pretty much unheard of on platforms at the moment. You can also send out offers and a lot more. If you do want to sign up, there's a link in the YouTube description and a link in the podcast description. It's an affiliate link, so I do earn a little bit off it, but you get a discount off your first month and you get access to an amazing tool. So let's crack on, because we need to bring on our guest and get chatting about this barn or whatever it is that he's building. Welcome to Derek, the Tap Peddler.
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you so much, Derek, for spending some time with us on the podcast. I appreciate it. I asked you ages ago, but you've been so busy with your barn that now is the time. So hopefully we'll have a good chat today. Do you want to give everybody an introduction as to who you are, just in case people don't know?
Yeah, my name's Derek. I'm also known as Tap Peddler on YouTube. It's mainly YouTube. And yeah, I'm a full-time reseller, mainly on eBay and Etsy, a little bit on Etsy. And yeah, I've been doing it full-time since 2018 and part-time a little bit before that.
So you went part-time first and then ended up full-time?
Yeah, I went full-time in 2016. So a couple of years just to prove to myself
you could do it. You could earn enough money.
Yeah, I was lucky because I had a job. I was working from home, so I was able to sort of build it up and still do tracking and listing and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good though. It's good to test it and see if you feel like you can do it full time.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereabouts are you in the country?
I'm in Scotland, Fife in Scotland, so it's just a little bit north of Edinburgh.
Okay, cool.
I've been here for 20 years. I'm not originally from Scotland. I'm originally from the West Midlands. So that's why I haven't got the Scottish accent.
Yeah.
But,
What made you move up to Scotland?
I went to university in Dundee, and
Right.
yeah, I met my partner there, and then we had a couple of kids. So yeah, so
And
I'm
you just stayed
basically
there.
stayed here now. Yeah, and my kids are still here. They're all grown up now, but yeah, I've stayed here, and yeah, it's home now. So.
Yeah. What kind of stuff do you sell, Derek? Like, are you an everything seller or?
Yeah, I sell pretty much anything. I tend to go towards electronics for some
Yeah, I've
reason.
seen that.
But yeah, I will pick up anything. So like, I don't know, you buy like, if I look around, I've got handbags, I've got board games, I've got trainers, all of that. But I also like to get hi-fis, amplifiers. They're probably my favourite. Amplifiers you can buy for like £5 to £10 and flip them for like up to 300 if they're really, really good ones.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. Are you a fixer? So do you fix things if you get them and they're a bit busted, like you quite often find?
Yeah, sometimes. I'm in two minds about that. It really depends on their. I always look them up, see how much they're worth. If they say they're over £100, I will put a little bit of time into trying to fix it. I
Yeah.
mean, nobody's like an expert at that, but I'll give it a go. So I'll try and fix it. I'll spend about half an hour maximum on it until I give up. Either it's fixed or I give up, and then I sell it as spares or repairs.
Yeah.
Or it's fixed, and then I can sell it for whatever it's worth.
That's an important thing to remember though, isn't it? Sometimes when you spend
Yeah,
too much time like cleaning up things or trying to fix them and you suddenly think I've lost an hour on this and I could have listed like 3, 4, 5 items on eBay in that
yeah,
time. So it's got
yeah,
to be worth your time, hasn't it?
yeah. I mean, that's what was happening originally. I was trying to fix things, and I look at the clock, and I've been messing about with it for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's only worth, say, it's worth £150, but I could have listed a lot more stuff in
Yeah.
that time. So, and I'd still get maybe £30 spares or repairs for whatever it was as well.
That's it. Yeah. And you still made some money on it. And something that I have a habit of doing, and I keep trying to remind myself not to do it, is I get an item out of whatever my dev pile or me listing pile, and I'll start cleaning it up. Cause a bit dirty, whatever. Or if I pick up like a DVD player, I'll give it a good old clean up and wipe it all down and everything, and then I'll test it and it doesn't work. And it's like, why don't you just test things first before you clean them up?
Yeah,
I do that all the time. I've wasted like 10, 20 minutes cleaning something up and it doesn't work.
yeah. I mean, I how I do it now, I give it a basic clean, depending because a lot of my stuff is quite dirty when I get it, just from the source I get it from. And yeah, I give it a basic cleanup. So what I like to do is when I'm testing it, I'll take a photo of the displays to show it powers on or something like that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I need it to be relatively clean, but doesn't have to be perfect at that point. And
Yeah.
then at least around wherever I know I'm taking a photo of like the LED display or whatever. I'll make sure
Yeah.
that's clean. I'll give it a quick wipe over, test it. If it all works, then I'll give it a little bit of extra. I tend not to spend too long cleaning it, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Probably I could clean things a bit more, but you'd end up being there all day. I like to sort of try and process things as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
I think that's key. Otherwise, you've
You get
worked all
bogged down,
day.
don't you? You get bogged down. You don't make any
Yeah,
progress.
yeah. You've only listed like 2 or 3 things in the whole day because you've messed about
Yeah.
cleaning stuff, and it really
I know.
doesn't matter too much.
Probably not. No, it probably don't matter that much. Where do you buy from mainly? Are you boot sales predominantly?
Yeah, it's pretty much all boot sale nowadays. It used to be. I started off when I first started part time and into full time as well. I was doing auctions and I was there every week, but filling the car full of full of boxes and boxes of stuff. No boot sales at all at that point, really. But I was getting too much stuff from the auctions that I didn't really want, because you had to buy like 8 boxes of random stuff just to get
a few bits that you actually
a few things, but it was so cheap. I mean, the first auction I went to, it was pretty much like it's like £2 for like 3 or 4 boxes of random household stuff, and in there might have been £200 worth of stuff. You know, it was so cheap. But that auction house started changing the way they did stuff, and the prices just went too high. So I went to a different auction house, and that was still really cheap, and it still is quite cheap, I think. But like I say, I was getting far too much stuff that I didn't really want to process, so therefore I was building up a huge death pile. So I don't like it. Was still decent stuff, really. It wasn't stuff I was either not interested in it, or it just wasn't really worth listing, really, for the money value. So it went on the death pile, and then it just builds up and up and up. And then I started going to car boot sales, and I think that was a better way, because then I could pick and choose what I wanted.
Right. Yeah.
So then I basically dropped the auctions completely, and I occasionally went there, but not that often. And then I think COVID hit, and the auction naturally closed anyway. And I don't think I've been there since COVID. Might have been there once, maybe.
How did you manage through COVID with you being a boot sale sourcer?
It was mainly the death pile.
Yeah. You had enough to get through, like at least until some boot sales came back on.
I've still got stuff in my death pile that I never got round to processing during COVID. My death piles are pretty bad.
Jesus. No wonder you're building yourself a barn. Is that going to be the death pile barn? Are you just going to fill it with stuff?
Well, this is why I've got to be very careful when it's ready to move into, which I'll get onto. I've got to be very, very careful about how I lay it out and how I deal with putting stuff in there that doesn't end up becoming
just like an even bigger death pile.
Big death pile, yeah.
I mean, we will talk about your barn in a bit, but just a quick one on it. Are you going to be, when you move into that, do you feel like you're going to be like a brutal on your stock? Are you going to like have a real clear out and even like just get rid of some of the stuff before moving it in there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's basically I've sort of started that now. I'm very when I'm going through all my stuff. I mean, I'm still going to the boot sales at the moment, so every sort of start of every week I have this week's boot sale stuff, and I try to get that listed, and then I have a few days towards the end of the week that I've run out of new stuff, so I will start to tackle stuff in the death pile.
Yeah,
and I'm only listing stuff that's worth listing, and anything I don't list that I sort of notice or get to, I'm putting it aside. And I've done a couple of tip runs and stuff. It's all really is just rubbish stuff. So
fair enough.
And I could do a car boot sale with it, but then I did a car boot sale, probably it's got to be almost 2 years now, but I went there. It was a really nice day. Filled my car full of all this rubbish stuff that I didn't want to list. I did sell most of it, but I didn't buy anything that week. And I could have got so much more. I'd say if I made £200 at the boot sale, I can't remember how much it was. I could have probably got a grand's worth of stuff if I walked around the boot sale and actually bought some stuff. So I think I'd rather just either donate it to charity shop, which most of it's probably not good enough for that.
Yeah.
And I'll take it to the tip or wherever I take it, and then I'll just go to the boot sale and buy stuff. I think that's the way forward.
Fear of missing out. That's the thing, isn't it? You stood there selling, making a few quid, but you're thinking, how much more could I be finding at this boot sale?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a few boot sale boxes as well on Facebook, but nobody seems to want to bother coming round for it. They probably think it's not worth it, I guess. But that was another idea, but that doesn't seem to be worth it because you've got to sort of store it up then and wait for somebody. And you get basically nothing for it. it's
I
not
guess
really
sometimes you're better off just cutting your losses and just saying, let's just say goodbye to it and, you
yeah.
know, clear it
But
out.
what I don't want to be doing is moving rubbish stock to the
Yeah.
barn. I don't really want the barn to actually have any death pile. It's more listed stock, and and I don't want anything that is going in the barn that isn't going to get processed pretty much immediately.
Right.
That's my aim, but
That's your aim.
that
See if that
might not
happens
be,
in
yeah, that might
reality.
not actually happen. Yeah,
I mean, it's a nice idea, but
yeah.
you know,
It's very
it's going to be
difficult.
difficult because there will be value in stuff that you look at, and then you're going to think, oh, is it going to
Yeah.
be worth your time or not? You know.
I don't mind once it's listed, even if it's a rubbish item. As long as it's listed, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
It's putting it in there when it's not listed, and
Yeah.
that's the danger.
How
'Cause
did you
I'm
get
not
into reselling in the first place, Derek?
well, I've done reselling since I was, well, I think it's coming up to about 30 years, where Richard, my brother
Mm.
Richard, bought his first car, and we started going to boot sales. And what we were doing, we were buying stuff from the house clearance guys, cleaning it up, and selling it the following week at boot sale for a little bit of a markup. I was still at school at that point.
Okay.
And that's basically where I suppose the original reselling bit started.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we did that, and then eBay came along. That was pre-eBay, I suppose. That was 1994 maybe.
That is
And,
pre-eBay, isn't it?
and eBay came along in 1997 or something like that.
Something around there.
And yeah, we started listing stuff on eBay. I remember going. We still sold stuff at boot sales in the main. That was the main thing. But I was at university at that point, and I remember coming up to university, my car full of like computer monitors and stuff like that. So I used to sell computers and things like that at the car boot sales. But then I got a job, you know, a proper full-time job, my first sort of job when I was up here. And I sort of stopped doing it then. Occasionally I went into the charity shops in Edinburgh. I used to go back with like a bag of stuff. And I remember people at my job were sort of saying, "Oh, the eBay expert," and all this sort of stuff. And you know, I was listing all this stuff. But yeah, that was like one or two things a week, you know, hardly
Yeah.
anything. And then it was 2016 when I really sort of buying stuff all the time, you know, to sit there for a few hours every day listing.
Hmm.
That was when that happened, and that was really down to probably watching Nick's videos. I think
Yeah.
Richard came up to Scotland because he had started reselling a couple of years prior to that, part time as well. And he came up and he told me that he was doing eBay, but you know, we never really, you know, I mean, myself and Rich had always sort of dabbled in eBay, but we were never too sure whether we could actually make a proper living out of it.
Yeah.
But he was really building his up at the time, and I don't think he hadn't left his job at that point. I don't think it was just part time. And he showed me Nick Hill's video and sort of said, you know, there's this guy on online. And so he showed me that, and I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. And he went back home because he still lives down in West Midlands, and I just carried on watching some more of the videos, and then I ended up going to an auction. I think a few weeks later, got a car full of stuff, and probably did quite well on it, I assume, because I carried on doing it, and that's basically how I got into doing it part time. And it just so happened I worked from home, so it was quite easy for me to go to the auction in the morning
Useful.
and
Yeah. That is
have a look
useful. You can do a
round.
bit of both.
Yeah, and yeah, then I think it was 2018 I decided to bite the bullet and resign, which was quite a scary moment, really. But
It is, isn't it? It's a similar time to when I quit my job. 2019, I think it was. Yeah, we must have been at a similar time.
Yeah.
Does your family get involved in your reselling at all?
No, not really. It's pretty much just myself. Joanne occasionally comes to the boot sales and stuff, but
Does she ever like point things out? I think I was asking Peter this last week. Does she ever like say,
yeah,
"Oh, what about this, Derek?" You know,
yeah, she has done.
got a bit of an eye for it.
Sorry, say that again?
She got a bit of an eye for it from you. You know, she learnt a bit from.
Yeah, probably. She hasn't been recently because I've been training up my son because my son's been reselling.
Oh, okay.
He's been doing trainers
Yeah.
because he needed to get a part-time job basically because he was in his final year at school, and all his mates had jobs at Burger King or McDonald's or whatever.
Yeah.
And he basically obviously knew what I did and stuff, and I suppose he'd seen me doing fairly well on it. So I sort of suggested a few things he could buy. What I didn't want to do is go to the boot sale and him buying the same things as me, because then it's very difficult because
Yeah.
I'm just going to buy, you know, I can't sort of, I need to buy stuff. So the only way for him to get to the boot sale is with me, you know, because he didn't drive at the time. So, yeah, it needed to be something I don't usually pick up. So
Yeah.
I'd started picking up trainers and shoes. So I basically said that any shoes, you know, you see, you can have. So yeah, I think he got about 200 shoes at one point on
Bloody hell.
eBay.
That's
So
good.
he was doing quite well on it. He was using my account. But now he's just started an apprenticeship, so he's sort of starting to tail off a bit now.
Right.
But my other son, who's wants to go to university next year, and he needs to go to college this year. He works at Halfords, and he needs to drop his hours down to do the college course. He was full time at Halfords, so he needs something to sort of supplement the drop in income. So I think he's going to basically take over the trainer side of things. So he's a bit older, so he can do it all on his account and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, the only problem with him, he'll have to go to the boot sales on his own basically, because he drives and stuff. So he needs to be back for Halford's opening and things like that. So I can't really take him.
Yeah.
But I said I'd take him a couple of times to show him the ropes and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But that's quite new. That's the last few weeks. So
trainers are quite good for young people to look at, because they're all kind of into the trainers really.
Yeah,
and they kind
Daniel
of have an idea what to look for and that.
Yeah, my younger son Daniel, he definitely has an eye for what trainers to pick up, because I picked when he for whatever reason he couldn't come to the boot sale with me. I used to buy them anyway for him, and I used to show him what I'd bought, and he went, "Oh, I don't want a lot of rubbish."
No, I don't want any of that. What are you buying that for?
Yeah, so he then sort of, well, he lists it anyway. But the problem is if they're not interesting trainers, I think he struggles with the listing. So he's got his own little death pile going on.
Like father, like son.
Yeah. So we need to deal with his death pile quite soon.
I think it's quite a good lesson for the young ones. I mean, I sound really old saying that, but I think it's quite a good lesson because it teaches them that no matter where you are, in life or work, you've got a way to earn some money if you need it. You know, if you're struggling for money, get down the boot sales, get down the charity shops. You can pick up stuff. You know what to find. You know how to list it. You know how to sell it. You know how to post it.
Yeah.
And if all else fails, you can do that.
Well, that's exactly what I basically said to my elder son. When he said he was dropping his hours at Halfords to do his college course. And I said, well, because he was talking about where could I work. He was thinking about working at Amazon and stuff, in the evenings and stuff. And I said, why don't you just get some stuff and sell it on eBay?
Yeah.
And he sort of said, I don't know if I can make enough. And I said, well, you definitely can.
Well, yeah. Look at me. I've got a house and everything.
Yeah, so he's I think he will do that. And if he goes to different boot sale, which you can do, you can basically buy anything. It doesn't have to be trainers either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that might be the way forward with that.
No, it's a good idea. And
It is
my
early days for that.
my stepson, Annabelle's lad, one of them wants to like he's been looking for like a bit of a side hustle to earn a bit of money and stuff. Um, so he's kind of dipped in a little, only a little bit into reselling. Obviously, he knows what I do, and he's asked for some advice and stuff on certain things. But what I've found with him is he gets disheartened really quickly with it. It's like if stuff doesn't sell immediately, he's very disheartened with it, and he's had some bad experiences with some fake stuff that he's ended up, like having to take off or he's made losses on, and so
Yeah,
I find that he gets disheartened like really quick, and he kind of drops out of it, and then he'll come back to it again, thinking, "Oh, maybe I'll do it again." Um,
yeah.
do you find the same with yours, or are they a bit more committed than that? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with Daniel, he makes sort of enough money. And he doesn't need a lot of money because he lives with his mum and stuff. So he doesn't need a massive amount of money. He gets enough to go out and go to his mate's house or something,
yeah,
buy some alcohol, basically, and stuff like that, to go to a party or something. And that's all he sort of needs. So he doesn't have the drive to sort of
that's
list
it. The
every day.
drive.
And
It's like you've got to. They need a real reason to earn the money.
yeah, I think my eldest son, if he ends up doing it, he probably will have more of a drive because he's got more sort of bills to pay.
Mm,
He's basically got X amount of money coming in at the moment from his job at the moment, but because he's dropping his hours, he needs to get back up to that amount of money. So I assume that will drive him forward to get the same amount of money, even though he's dropped his hours at
yeah,
work. So yeah, I think it is difficult because a lot of the stuff is sort of long. Some of it's long tail as well.
exactly. Yeah,
You,
you can't
you're not going
expect
to
a
make
quick sale on some of it, can you?
no. So he's got to have somewhere to store it, which he's got. But yeah, it might not be an instant fix for his
Yeah,
problem. Yeah, it might be a few months down the line before he
yeah.
sees results.
You got
So
to put the effort in now to get the benefits later on, haven't you?
yeah, definitely.
Mhm. Welcome to everybody in the YouTube chat. I hope you're all okay. Thank you for tuning in today on the podcast. If you've got any questions for Derek as we go along, please drop them in. It's fine. I will try and address as many as I can if there are any. If you're listening on the audio channels like Spotify, Apple Music, please hit that download button. Really, really important. That's like subscribing on YouTube. It's the same kind of thing. So do hit the download. Before you started reselling, Derek, you got a bit of a claim to fame, haven't you?
Yeah. Uh,
Go on.
well, I assume what you're talking about. Yeah, I used to work at Rockstar Games, so I made Grand Theft Auto games. And
Was
that
it
was
what? Oh, quite a few of them,
pretty
or
much well, from GTA 3 onwards. So GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, and GTA
oh,
4, GTA 5.
you worked on Vice City.
Yeah.
Did you do some of the naughty bits on that? Did you come up with some of the naughty stuff?
No, no.
No.
No, I was
That
a
must have been
programmer.
fun. That must have been fun working on that.
It, Vice City was probably my favourite game. And I wish at the time, because I was fairly new to it at that point. So I joined GTA 3 had been released. When I say I worked on GTA 3, I worked on the PC version of it. And so it had already been released. So we were modifying it for PC, and that's when I sort of joined the company. And then did that, and then I think that was like 6 months or something. And then worked on Vice City, and yeah, that was a great time. Um,
So when you say worked on it, what was your job?
yeah, I was a programmer, so I've done all sorts of stuff on the games over the years, but I did sort of tools systems. So I did like I did all the UI aspect of it. So pretty much all the GTAs, all the interface for the heads-up display and the menus and all of that. That was all me. And then I did little radar thing. That was all me. But then I did other things like the cutscene system, not the actual cutscenes themselves, but the code that sort of ran the cutscene animations and stuff. That was all me. And font systems, all quite low level sort of stuff. So it's not sort of front facing, but how to get the font so it sort of loads in and streams in.
A lot of behind the background stuff you might not obviously see as you're playing it, perhaps.
Yeah, basically. I mean, the cutscenes on GTA 4, at that point, it was all loaded in. One cutscene was loaded into memory, and on GTA 3 and Vice City and stuff, it was loaded into memory, and then that used up all the memory during that time of the cutscene. What I did on GTA 4 was I made it so it loads it in little segments, so you could have much longer cutscene. That's why GTA 4 and GTA 5 have massive long cutscenes, and that was quite a new thing. And I think that was all me and my idea and stuff.
No, it was your fault, was it? All those long bloody cutscenes.
Yeah.
Well, this is like watching a film. This.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you sort of make a tool for them to do that, and then they go ahead and do crazy stuff with it. So I don't actually I never use the stuff I created. I just created a system for the animators and stuff to actually make use of. So, and they, especially if they felt restricted like that, they probably always sort of, oh, we've only got a minute or whatever it was to do a cutscene. Now they've got an infinite sort of amount of time. So they just go to town on it. That's probably why a lot of those cutscenes were really long.
Yeah.
But there's all sorts of stuff like that. And by the time I left, I'd done some really quite good stuff. But I was ready to go. I've been there for 16 years. I felt quite a dinosaur, really. I know it doesn't seem a long time, but there's a lot of young people coming in all the time. They're all enthusiastic.
I would imagine like the gaming industry like changes really quick, because look at the speed in which things like change and upgrade and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we
How
were
do you
getting
keep on top of that?
I mean, we were getting like computers every 6 months or something, new equipment and all this sort of stuff. And there was so many new things you had to be sort of dealing with, especially on PC. It was very difficult. But on console, it was a bit easier because you had I mean, it's different now, I think. So you sort of upgrade them, don't you? But before, like PS2 and Xbox 360 and stuff, that you got the hardware and then you could just work from the hardware.
I guess you had that piece of hardware for a few years, 3, 4, 5 years.
That didn't really.
That was what you had to deal with. But I get maybe with the PC, it's constantly being improved all the time.
It was, but we always had to make it so it ran on the 360. So even though the PC might have done some better stuff, we can only enhance it a little bit. We couldn't probably use as much power as whatever PC at the time could do, because it still had to run. The game still had to run on the 360. That's why the 360 got sort of discontinued, if you like, when GTA 5 came out. It came out for the Xbox One, and then the 360 version stopped getting updates because there was just couldn't do it. Couldn't all the stuff we wanted to put in, it wouldn't cope with it. But yeah, there were good times. But yeah, I'd been there for so long, and
you felt like you'd done your time.
Yeah,
stressful. Was it stressful?
It was very, very, very stressful, and yeah, I wanted to do slightly different things as well, programming wise. So I changed companies and went to another games company. That's the one where I worked from home. And yeah, that was good. I mean, I got the job basically that I wanted to do. But yeah, I think I was just sort of had enough of programming. I just wanted a change basically. So I did a couple of years there, and it was fine. But that was that was probably even more stressful,
Right.
because I was management there, so I had a load of people under me and stuff, and
Right.
that was I had quite a few problems there as well, you know, with the employees. Some of them
Right.
weren't working that great
Right.
because working from home, I think people take a
Take
big
the piss of
advantage
it.
of it. So
Yeah.
there was all that aspect of it. Um, and it got to the point where I wasn't doing much programming at all. You know, I was just basically
You were
in meetings,
managing
managing
rather than
people and stuff.
managing people.
And then I'd started doing the reselling, and then I thought now's my time, sort of thing,
Yeah.
for a change. So, and that's
Great story to tell though, that you worked on GTA. I know
yeah,
you enjoy telling it.
yeah,
We all know.
it was good at the time. Yeah, it was good.
So if anyone's got any copies of GTA that they want signed by a
Yeah,
programmer,
well, I've
could
still got
make it
some
more
in the loft.
valuable.
I've still got some in the loft that I need to push down at one point. I'm in
Uh,
two minds whether to keep some of it because, you know, obviously it's my history and stuff, but
mm,
you can get it everywhere. So I've got like loads of sealed copies and stuff and things like that. So I've already sold all the sort of quite rare stuff I used to get, like memorabilia type stuff, you
yeah.
know, employees only and all that. I've pretty much sold all of that now, which
Yeah, that'd be worth something, wouldn't it?
some of it I regret because a lot of it's worth
Be worth
a huge
more now,
amount.
won't it?
Yeah, but
But I believe some of the 360 games now, if you've got physical copies, they're going up in price, apparently, someone told me. Because
yeah,
is the online stuff like stopping for 360?
yeah, I've heard something about that. I don't.
Something like that, and it just means the price of physical games is going up on the 360. So I guess if you've got
Right,
sealed copies of it
yeah,
on 360, then prices might start going up on those. I don't know. I don't know enough about gaming now to know.
yeah, yeah. I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
I sort of
someone
dropped
mentioned that
out.
to me recently.
Yeah, because when I left, I always like, knew quite a bit about, like, you know, all different consoles coming out and all that. But now I don't
Mm,
really look into that now. So
yeah, I'm well out of touch with gaming now. I've
it's
got a
amazing how
PS5,
quick.
but I barely play on it.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly you sort of, you know, you do just sort of everything
You lose
changes
it
so
quick.
quickly as well, isn't it?
You do.
Interesting change. So yeah,
Interesting. So you got a YouTube channel, Derek, and lately you've been putting out videos about this barn that you are renovating, right?
yeah,
Why would you do this? Why would you go to this massive, monumental, I called it, effort of
yeah,
doing this barn up? I mean, this is an old derelict building that's attached to your house, and you've
yeah,
decided you were gonna renovate it, put a new roof on it, do the walls, and kit it out ready for your business. I mean, that
yeah,
is one big task.
yeah. Well, I bought this house probably about 12 years ago, and there was always a derelict. The barn's always been derelict. I think in my first video about the barn, it was coming up to a couple of years now. Um, they When I bought the house, they were pretty much in the same state, so they hadn't really got that much worse. So you had leaks in the roof, and it was, you know, it was all sort of all the wood was rotten, and it looked like it would cave in at any minute. But it did sort of stay up, yeah, all the time that I was here. So I wanted to um, tidy up the look of the house in general, because having a house with a derelict building
Yeah,
next
don't
to
look
it,
great, does it?
it's never going to look great, and it's
I
always
mean, would it
going
be
to
dangerous for your
maintain.
house as well? I assume.
Um, it's probably not dangerous for me, but yeah, if I sold the house, it would definitely lower the value. I think it's probably one of the
Right.
reasons why. I mean, I got the house, and I've renovated the inside of the house as well. Um, so that's my sort of background on sort of DIY. I did a lot of the internals of the house as well myself. Um, but the barn has always been sort of derelict, and it's been sitting there. and it was always my plan to renovate it so it was for my own sort of use, garden
Yeah.
stuff, cars. I've got a couple of classic cars, so I'm always sort of tinkering with them. So all my tools and all that sort of stuff. But obviously now being a reseller, resellers need storage space. So
Exactly.
it seems a bit silly for me to have two big buildings right there on my property that I own, and I don't have to pay any rent for or anything like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just sitting
Brilliant.
there empty, dripping with water when they could be holding all the stock, especially when I'm struggling with space for the
Yeah.
stock as it is. And I really want to get the stock out of the house. So that was the idea, to basically renovate the barn. It kills two birds with one stone. I get the house looking better, and it gives me a huge amount of space for the business.
What kind of cost benefits is there for you to do it yourself rather than just say, you know what, let's just get a builder in here and do it, because it'll be done a lot quicker and it'll be a lot less stressful?
Massive cost, I think, because I originally got some quotes to get the house recovered with slate, I think it was at the time, and I got some crazy quotes to get that done. And that wasn't even doing the sort of main woodwork or anything.
Yeah.
So on that basis, I don't think I could actually do it if I was paying for someone to do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to.
And there's
You wouldn't
so
have
much
the money
work.
to do
I
it.
mean, all the work I've had to do, the builder would have had to do. So you'd have to get people to build walls. You'd have to get people to replace all the woodwork.
It'd be a massive job. If anybody's
All
watched
even
any
just
of
to clear it.
Derek's
Yeah.
if anyone's watched any of Derek's videos, you'll see what a job this is. I mean, if you've not seen it, you can go back and watch them right from the start, like episode 1. I don't know what episode you're on now, but I've watched every single one of them. It's quite a few, but whereabouts are you up to now? Are you allowed to tell us, like, because you're a bit
Um,
behind on videos, I think.
yeah. Well, the last video that went out was pretty much a year ago now, because I'm doing it all myself, literally single-handedly, apart from the occasional time
The
I
odd
get
bit of
help.
help.
So Richard comes up to help, or my dad comes up to help, or I get my son to come round to do a bit of wheelbarrowing or something like that. But 99% of the time, it's literally just me on my own.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to do the eBay full time as well,
Yeah.
plus just life, private life in general as well going on. It takes a long time. So
Are
yeah,
you
that's
anywhere
right.
near to being finished?
Yes, I want to get it completely done by the end of this year. That is
Okay.
my aim. That's my aim. It is, it is almost done. I don't want to give
Okay.
too much away because there's quite a
No,
lot
I
of.
can tell. I can tell you're being very cagey about it.
Watch out for the videos, but there's
Yeah, have a reason to go watch the videos. There was one particular episode where you nearly died, literally. I
yeah.
mean, I was like, wow, that was close.
Well, one of the reasons why there was a big delay in videos and how I got so behind, I was in two minds to actually put that video out or not, for various reasons. Because I thought people are going to think I'm some sort of idiot here, or
Oh no, you did the right thing in putting it out. You've got to make the most of those things.
yeah. But yeah, it took me a long time to sort of think and edit it as well,
Mm.
and I wanted to sort of do the right thing by the video and make sure it was all like put out in a good way to sort of have a good video sort of thing. So I had lots of plans to have like a preview. I think I did like a preview coming soon type thing, and did
Yeah,
it all
it's
in slow
brilliant. I have to
motion.
say, you did that very well.
But yeah, I do wish I just put it out and not bothered with all of that and just
No,
thrown it
no,
out.
you did right. It was good.
It did delay the videos though. But yeah, I'm still
I
catching up.
thought they were really good, but
I'm
yeah,
I'm
those
still catching up.
rafters, the rafters sort of started collapsing, didn't they? And We're not far
very
away
lucky.
from it.
I was very lucky, and because I'd walked around, I think at the start of that video, there's some video footage of me sort of showing that everything had sort of come, started to go sideways, and I was actually walking around in there with my phone, and then I went back out, and I thought, right, I think I climbed up onto the wall that wasn't on camera and had a look at what I needed to do to try and fix it. And it was literally just one rafter at the end was about an inch on the wall that was just holding on. Anyway, so I thought if I'd lifted that, because they are quite reasonably light, with no tiles on there, you can sort of move them about. So I thought if I'd lifted that and just moved it back onto the wall, and then I can just push them all back straight.
Mm.
And that was basically my plan. So I went in to get the ladders, and suddenly this one at the end slipped off. They
God.
went down a little bit more, and then the thing slipped off, and that caused them all to go
Yeah.
like dominoes.
Oh, geez.
And luckily, I had my scaffold tower at one end of the barn, which basically stopped that sort of stopped it, sort of the last 3 or 4 bits. But I basically dived out the door, just about got out. But I was recording at the time, which is quite good.
Yeah.
So originally that video was for me to sort of climb. I was going to get ladders, put the ladders in front of the doors, climb up onto the thing, and just walk across. And I would have time lapsed that or something.
Yeah.
So it's quite amazing. I actually got it on video.
That's mad.
But after that happened, I didn't really know what to do. I was sort of
Mm.
staring at the barn, and it was all.
Oh, you'd be
collapsed down.
devastated when
Yeah.
all the effort that you'd put in up to that point, and then that happened.
Yeah. Luckily, as I said, they had scaffolding tower there, so all the work I'd done to actually fix them and sort of finished the rafters I had fixed, they were protected. So the ones that did fall down were all the ones that needed work anyway. But it was really purely my own fault because I didn't brace them well enough.
Okay.
So we had really bad winds the night before, and I'd been to the boot sale, and I came back and I saw it all sort of crooked. I thought, well,
God.
that don't look good. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was.
I would recommend anybody, if you've not watched any of Derek's videos, go back and have a look at some of the barn videos, and especially look out for that episode. Definitely worth tuning into. Has it been harder than you expected doing the barn?
Yeah, it's definitely been harder. I don't think I knew what work was expected. I don't think that has been hard. It's the amount of time it's took.
Mm.
And every job I've done has took a lot longer than what I thought it would. But the actual work was pretty much expected, really.
Yeah.
I think I've been fairly lucky the way things have turned out, because I think I mentioned it in the videos quite a few times that the barn isn't straight either. It's all sort of wonky, and
Yeah.
it basically starts off and then bends across, just the way the floor plan works. So to get a straight roof out of that is quite
Very
difficult.
difficult.
So the roof isn't straight, but I've tried to average it.
Yeah.
So it's not perfect anywhere, but it looks pretty good.
Well, on the last video I saw, it looked pretty damn good to me. When I saw the ones at the start, I'm thinking, how are you gonna like flatten that out and make it at least partly straight? But
Yeah,
the latest one looks pretty good.
yeah, it's better than what I thought it would look, to be honest with you. But the original objective was to literally just replace the roof, because it needed doing. Whatever happened, it needed to be replaced. So I either go up in a sort of rough looking way, but at least it will be dry and usable. But I wanted it to look as good as I could get it. And yeah, I'm really quite pleased with it.
Peter Ray on YouTube says, Enjoying the barn series. Will you do a video at the end to talk about what you would do again and what you would do differently?
Yeah,
Like
I
a
think
roundup, like a wrap up at the end to say like,
yeah. Well, I've got a couple of plans for the end. If I ever get to the end, is to yeah, do basically that, discuss what I would have done differently and talk through exactly what I did. But I was also going to put one massive video out of like the whole process, maybe in one video or something as well. Something
like
that,
some clips from each episode, just like
y-
pulled together.
yeah, yeah, basically the whole thing in one sort of episode.
That's a good
That's
idea.
what,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. But yeah, talk about yeah, 'cause there's quite a few things I would have done differently. Um, but not a great deal, not a great deal, but because it was all learning at the time.
Yeah. You're
And
learning as you go along, I guess.
I think I pretty much, if I did go back, there wouldn't be a huge amount of change. I probably would have replaced the wood instead of trying to repair all the wood that fell down. I probably would have replaced the wood all the way along
Okay.
for the extra. I mean, it was quite a lot of extra money, but it was easier to put up the new rafters than I thought it would. I thought that would be too difficult, you see.
Mm.
That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to do it. It's easier because all the wood's there. I just need to cut the broken bits off, repair them.
Yeah.
But putting the new wood completely from scratch wasn't
Wasn't
that
that
bad
hard.
really.
Mm.
Because I had to sort of weigh out what things are worth doing and what I can actually achieve myself. Because I can only do what I can do myself,
Yeah.
with basic tools, basically.
Mm.
And basically one man job. Uh, Obviously, a proper builder of a team would have done things completely different,
Yeah,
and
sure.
that's fine. But I'm not a big team, so
Yeah, you got to do it in a certain
yeah, and
order, I suppose.
I don't think it would be affordable. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
that I couldn't afford to do that. It's because I've got so much other stuff to do. I've got another barn to do as well in the future, and I've got various things I want to do on the actual house as well.
I believe you've got 2 other barns.
I've got two, yeah.
So potentially we've got the barn 2 and the barn 3 to come.
Yeah, well,
What are you gonna
yeah,
do with those barns?
well, there's only really one more barn for the business.
Oh, okay.
The other barn is down the end of my field, which I've mentioned I might be disposing of my
Oh,
field at
okay.
some point.
Yeah,
So that will probably get demolished by whoever buys the field, maybe.
fair enough.
Um, but yeah, if I don't sell the field, then I probably will re-roof that and use it as storage.
Use it for storage, or maybe one of your sons might wanna use it for their,
Fill it with trades.
they could pay rent for the storage.
Yeah,
Emsden UK said, "The falling rafters episode was the most exciting TV they've watched all year." I have to kind of agree with that, to be honest.
yeah. I
It
must
it
admit, I thought when I did the video, I thought it, this sort of would go viral, but it never did. It never sort of. I
Oh,
don't
did
think
it
it got
not?
any.
Oh,
No,
I
no, I
thought
don't
it was
think it.
good.
I
I
don't think
thought it's
it got
kind of the
any.
equivalent of making a boot sale video where there's, like, a massive fight or something,
Yeah,
or you
I
might get a
think
load of people.
the issue is my fault really. I never sort of promote stuff or I'm not Instagramming stuff all the time. And so my channel's gone a bit sort of stale in a way. I think the Tap Peddler channel, and that's purely my fault. But I've been so busy doing other stuff, then so. But yeah, I thought it would get more sort of hits than that. But never mind.
You never know. A video can just take off at any point, all it takes is
Sure.
for
Yeah.
YouTube to one day put that on their home screen and a load of people start to watch you nearly die, nearly get crushed, and,
Yeah.
it goes viral. It can happen at any time. I've had videos in the past where been very quiet, then all of a sudden, goes up, months later. I've had a couple that months later because YouTube have put it up there on the shelf for someone to
Yeah.
click on, and it's done it. But,
Yeah.
you never know. It could. It could. I hope it does, because I think you deserve it for the effort you've put in, at least.
Yeah,
Tea Cake says, I rebuilt and re-roofed a 300-year-old mill. Wow.
That sounds worse
Have
than
you
my
ever
job.
thought about like being a builder or something, Derek? Have you? Because you
No, I
seem to
mean,
be very handy with that kind of stuff.
I think I'm quite knowledgeable. I mean, I've always said that if if eBay kicked me off, and I couldn't do eBay anymore, like a odd jobs man type, handyman type person, probably something that I would turn
You
to,
could do,
at least
yeah.
temporarily, because I'm pretty good at fixing quite a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Um,
I can imagine that you
but
would be looking at.
it's all from basically YouTube and just
Mm.
willing to give stuff a go, because what's the worst I always go on the basis of what's the worst can
What's the
happen.
worst?
You make you mess it up and you just get somebody in to fix it.
Yeah. That was my thinking when I decided to make the decking in my garden. A little. I feel quite embarrassed about that decking, because there's you building a whole barn, like getting up on the roof, spending a year building a barn, and there's me making a big fuss about doing a bit of decking that took me 3 days to do.
No.
But
I
I'm
enjoy
useless at that kind of stuff. I just watched some YouTube videos and thought, I'm gonna have a go at that. And I kind of had the mindset that you just said. I thought, what's the worst that can happen? I mess it up, we rip it out, and we just get a gardener in to a landscaper to build one or something, or a carpenter or something.
Yeah, I mean, really, you've only wasted a couple of days of your time, if
Bit of
that's
time and a small amount of money, relatively.
well, they'd be able to use the stuff,
Yeah, I
the
suppose.
and the that's basically what I thought. If I emptied my barn and I start messing about with all the rafters and stuff, and I can't do it, then what have I really lost?
Yeah,
It's just time, really.
yeah,
And I might end up with a barn that I can use at the end of it. I mean,
yeah.
it's been quite expensive to do the barn. I'm going to do a sort of tally up of what I've spent on it at the end.
Are you going to share that on a video, or?
Yeah, on a
Yeah,
video. But for what I've got, and you can compare that with, you know, what I don't know, a shed or something will cost. A little shed. I think I've done pretty well
yeah,
considering.
and also the value it's going to put on your house if you decide to sell up.
Yeah, I mean that was always bringing down the value of the house because it looked really bad. I mean, every time I drove up the road, you could see it. It was all that caving in and stuff. It didn't look good
Yeah,
at all. But there's still quite a lot to do. That's what I was saying. There's so much other stuff to do as well with the house, to get it up to the point where it. I think it looks good. Not that I have any plans to sell it, but
no,
everybody wants a nice house, don't they?
yeah, of
So
course, yeah,
I've got to do a driveway and all of that, and landscape it a bit better. So that's why I wanted to do the barn myself, so I keep money back for all these other jobs.
right, yeah.
Um, yeah.
I've got a question here from Emsden. The Payne brothers are listing legends, apparently, and often win listing challenges. How many items did Derek list in a week?
I try to keep to well, at least do 10 a day.
Yeah.
So for instance, today I've done 10 already.
Oh, that's good
And I
going.
try to do them early on in the morning,
Yeah.
and then hopefully I'll do more than 10 if I do that. I always try to do at least 10. Then I try to get photos ready for the next day. So I've got 10 to the photos get done the day before basically. So I can get up and I've just got a load of photos there. I'm going to sit there, do some quick listing, get my 10 on there. And then I always try to do more than 10, but 10 is my
Yeah,
minimum.
but 10 sort of as a minimum type thing.
Yeah.
On the question of listing, so whilst you've been doing your barn, has it like really impacted your eBay and your listing stuff?
It has, yeah. I mean, I've sort of accepted that, and I knew that would happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the last this last year's thing has been worst because I think the year before, when I was still doing like listing challenges, I've done them online. That always helps. Always get quite a lot back from doing that, money wise. But yeah, I had all the listings I'd done before I'd done the barn. All my stuff's quite long tail, so it can take like 6 months to sell. And I'm happy with that sort of business model. But now, because the barn's been going on for so long, I'm starting to see the effect of not listing like I was. I do try to list every day, but it doesn't always happen. Most of the time it does, even if I'm working on the barn.
Yeah. I guess if you're up early and you try and get that bulk of your stuff done in the morning, it kind of frees up your afternoon. At least when you're working in the afternoon on the barn, you've got that knowledge in your head that, right, I've done my listing this morning. I got up early and I've done that. So therefore, I'm kind of now a bit free to do that.
Yeah, because the worst thing that happens is when you're working on the barn and you've done nothing on eBay at all. Then
Just
I feel quite
you out
bad
in your head, doesn't it?
Yeah, I feel quite bad. I almost thinking I've got to do something later on then, and that puts you off. Because sometimes, if you're working on the barn and everything's going well, you can work into the evening on a nice summer's day.
Yeah.
And get loads done. Whereas if you're thinking, I've got packing to do tonight and all that sort of stuff, it puts you off, and then you've got to come in early and get it done.
I understand that. I think it's really important because I'm like that sometimes. Like, if we've got stuff going on in a day, I'm like, right, I need to at least achieve my main goal, which is get some stuff listed, because that's the stuff that's going to pay the bills and that's my income. So I've got to do that first thing, and then it frees me up the rest of the day for, even if I don't get my normal number of listings, at least I've done something. Like this morning, I think I've done like, I don't know, I've done a pile of about 6 or 7 like items that I've listed this morning before I started getting ready for this podcast. So at least I know now that I've at least done a few, and then I'll probably do a few later on as well. I think it's like for your head, for your mind.
At the start of it all, when I first started doing the barn, I was constantly looking at the weather, and it was the weather dictated a lot of the days I was working on the barn and doing eBay. So I made sure that it's raining Tuesday and Thursday, so I'll do eBay those days and work on the barn the other days. That's how I did it then. Now it doesn't matter too much because it's not, the weather doesn't matter because I'm inside now and it's all dry. So it's a little bit easier now just to work.
That's not too bad then.
Whenever I need to, sort of thing.
Limelight Vince has got a question. As a programmer, is Derek more sympathetic when there are eBay glitches?
I am, maybe a little bit. I think it was on your live last night. Somebody said about why do they? I wish they didn't tinker or something like that. Tinker with stuff so much, and I thought, well, they need to tinker because otherwise nothing will ever get done,
changed or improved.
And I remember at Rockstar, because maybe like the last 5 years when I was there, we were always updating GTA Online with new updates and stuff like that. So that's sort of basically the same. You update something to add a new feature, but if you're not careful, you might break another feature.
Right.
And it's very difficult because that's all live, same as eBay's live. So the game's going on, people are playing it. So if you break it, then you've either got to quickly revert back, which you can do. The system allows you to basically undo what you've done and put it back to the way it was, and then you go off and fix it properly and gets retested and stuff. But sometimes you can apply a little hack or a little fix to basically mask over what the new issue is that you've created, and then you go away and fix it properly. So basically that's what we were doing all the time. All this stuff always happened. There's loads of stuff that was always getting broken and came in. I mean, that was one of the stressful things. Like when I said it was stressful at work, I used to come in every day in the morning, and the testers had been working on your your computer overnight, and it basically had post-it notes on your monitor saying, you know, this, you have a look
Things
at
that are
this.
broken and not
Yeah.
working properly.
And the worst ones were when you released it, and the only time you found out was when it was on YouTube, or the press
Oh,
had mentioned like a really bad thing, and then everything was basically just dropped. We've got to
yeah.
fix this one particular thing. You know,
I
there's a
bet it is
couple of
like eBay, that. I bet some of the changes they make, they don't find out until everyone starts moaning on YouTube about it.
but at least at that point you could fix things and upload a new thing. I remember on I think it was on San Andreas, I think it was on the PS2. There was a guy on a motorbike came and got like the master disc and shot off to get it mastered onto the you know, took it to Sony or whatever, and
Right.
they created the discs. So I remember he was due there like at 8 o'clock in the morning to pick up the master disc, and I'd gone home. I think I'd gone home at sort of 8 o'clock in the evening, and I was sitting there, and I was thinking, that's whatever I'd done. I can't remember what it was. Something to do with the map, I think. You know, when you go into the pause menu and you see the
Yeah.
map, something to do with that, and there was something wrong on it. And I was in my bed, oh, I've done that wrong. That's not going to work. So I had to get back in my car, drive back into Edinburgh. I think it was like
Bloody hell.
2 o'clock in the morning at this point. Fix it. The best, you know, make sure it's fine, because you couldn't patch it. The only time you could patch it is like a few months later when they did like a remaster of the disc.
Yeah.
So the first edition might have you know, various
A
problems
few
in it.
glitches, yeah.
So yeah, luckily I fixed that. But yeah, it was quite a bad thing. You'd have to do certain things, and it would like mess up the map and stuff.
Nightmare. One nightmare.
But yeah, there's things like that. Like nowadays, you can just you just patch it straight away. You know,
Yeah, straight
at
up
least
and
at least
download it.
a temporary fix or a proper fix. You can, or just undo what you did and start
But
again.
back then, you were reliant on discs and like just
Yeah,
occasional updates, I suppose.
yeah. So I think it was every 3 months, something like that.
Right.
So yeah, it's easier now, but because everybody wants patches and updates all the time, pretty much
Yeah.
every game gets updates now, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. You're always updating them.
Yeah, and you're messing with. I mean, GTA 5 code at the time I left was pretty much in a quite bad state, I suppose, because it had been so much had been added, and it was so different to what the original concept of it was. So yeah, I think there was limited stuff you could do with it really,
Right.
without breaking something else, you know. So, and I'm assuming eBay's basically the same.
Probably. Yeah. I could
So
imagine it being like that.
So I do have sympathy.
Yeah.
However, I don't think they test stuff as well as they could do,
Yeah.
because
It
some
seems
stuff
that
is
way, doesn't it?
pretty. I mean, there's 20% price
Yeah.
problem. Somebody must have seen that, and even if they have, they should be able to roll that back quite easily.
Yeah.
That should be something they think, well, right, whatever broke that, they should be able to figure out
Yeah.
when it broke. So they should be able to figure out what change they made, and then revert back to it, and then whatever they were doing, make a
Yeah.
proper fix.
A bit like when we had our like desktop PCs, if you installed something and it broke your computer, or some kind of virus came on your computer, you could go into System Restore and you could
Yeah,
revert back to like a certain date and then
yeah,
reload your PC on that for that what it was on that date, like a mirror of whatever it was.
yeah. And that's basically the software that I used at both studios basically worked a bit like that. And what you can do is sometimes it gets complicated if somebody's made a change after you made your change, and there's another change on top of the change.
Yeah,
You have to sort of merge them and pick the bits you want to put
I
in, and
get
then
you.
you end up with a third change that
Or you
sort
have
of,
to lose multiple changes.
or you can, or you can remove several different changes.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know. But
But yeah,
I think eBay does sound like a lot like that.
but they will be, because there's no other way of doing it really.
Yeah,
In the live
yeah, that's
system.
true.
So, but they should be able to deal with stuff a little
I
bit
just
better.
wish, you know what, with eBay, I just wish if they break something, right, just hold your hand up and say, at the moment, this is broken. Tell people that it's broken. Like,
Yeah.
tell people, like, don't worry about the 20% thing. We know it's affecting you. They should be telling us before we have to complain about it. Like,
The problem
we have
is,
a
I
seller
suppose,
dashboard, put it on there, put it on in a big block thing at the top saying there's an issue with this, we're working on it, don't worry. That must save
yeah.
them a load of time with people calling and going on the chat and everything.
But do they want to admit blame? I suppose maybe, I don't know.
But it's got to be better than just like saying nothing and then getting swamped with thousands of phone
Yeah,
calls.
yeah.
It would just
Oh,
be much better just to keep us informed. If something's not working properly, just tell us what's going on
yeah.
and you know what we need to do, if anything.
At least you know that they're working on it as well.
Yeah, that's it. Just tell us you're working on it. Ian says, "I'm impressed with the skills Derek has developed applying logic, particularly with the stonework and lime cement use." This is your barn,
Yeah,
so
I like lime mortar. Yeah, for the stonework. Yeah, so I've built stone walls before for my house as well.
oh,
Um,
okay,
so yeah, I'm. I mean, I'm not great. I don't think I'm great at it, but I think I do a good enough job to make it look half decent.
it
I mean,
looks new.
now I've done a little bit more on it. The stonework that I knew wasn't great at the time when I did it, because I made sure the front of the barn was nicely done, but the inside bit that's all going to be boarded out anyway, that's all hidden, and it's now I've done that bit, it's all hidden, and you don't know what's
Yeah,
behind. So it doesn't need to be, beautiful stone or whatever,
but from an eye like mine, it looks pretty good.
And to
I don't
hire a
know.
proper stone-mason costs a fortune, because you can't
Oh
just
yeah,
get like a brickie,
Jesus.
because the brickie wouldn't he would probably use cement mortar, which isn't good for the stone. Because that's what
Mm.
happened with my wall down the end of my garden. When a delivery driver reversed into the wall and knocked the wall
Oh
down,
bloody hell!
and they admitted fault, but the guy came out, he just used cement, so he's used the wrong stuff basically.
Right.
But there's not a lot I can do about that
No.
sort of stuff. But if I'm doing it myself, then yeah, I want to make sure it's the right stuff.
Yeah, you might as well. You want to do it properly, don't you? You
And
want to make it look like the same as the rest of your barn
yeah,
and stuff, your
yeah,
house. Limelight Vinty's got a point here that I was talking to you about before we started the podcast, and they've said your field would be perfect for a car boot.
yes. The issue I've
An
got with my
idea?
is very overgrown, and I'd need to put access in, which I could do. But as I mentioned to you before, that I really just want a bit of a easy life from now on. Really, you know, um, I just want to list my stuff on eBay, make enough money. I've no desire to make huge amounts of money,
Yeah.
on eBay. I'm quite happy. I want enough
Are
to
you more of a
become,
lifestyle than earning the money? Are you in it for
yeah,
the lifestyle rather than the money?
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to sort of, I'd buy the stuff I want to buy, and pay all my bills, have some money left over to enjoy life, sort of thing. And that's all I really want. Um, I've no desire to really push it. I was a member of the Tech and Sports group,
Yeah.
which was a really good group. I would recommend the group, if you wanted to push your business. But they're all about pushing it and moving forward all the time. I I do want to push it a bit more, which is one of the reasons why going into the barn and having more space and all of that. But I don't want to be working really hard every day, because I'm not really doing it for that. I'm doing it
Yeah.
so I can earn
No,
enough.
I get that. Totally understand
Like
that.
today, I probably won't do a lot more after we've finished with the podcast. I'll probably do a little bit more photography, and then I'm going to go and pick up my son, and that'll probably be it for the rest of the day. Whereas if I was really pushing it, I'd have to go out there and list another 50 items or something before I could go to bed or something. I don't really want to be doing that.
No, no, I'm the same. I don't really want. I earn enough money for us to live okay, and me and Belle go 50-50 on everything. We earn roughly the same amount of money each in a year, so we kind of just enjoy our lifestyle, and we enjoy where we live, and we like to go on the odd holiday now and again, and that's what we like doing. And I put more value on like spending time with her and the family and doing stuff rather
But,
than actually just like working like a beast or whatever. It's not really for me.
yeah.
Part of the reason why you go self-employed to have a different lifestyle than working for somebody else, telling you what to do and when to do it.
I think that's what you got to remember. The people always say, "Oh yeah, I want to get out the rat race. I want to be self-employed and all this sort of stuff." But when they are self-employed, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's what you want to do. But then they work even harder than they would
Yeah,
at a job.
I know. Yeah.
I know you can make more for yourself. Understand all of that.
I mean, as a
Um,
reseller, you always can remember that your earnings are pretty much unlimited. It's like
yeah,
it's only limited by how much you're willing to
you
work,
get
really, isn't it?
you get back what you put in, don't you? So,
Yeah. If you want to work 24 hours a day and like you could earn
but
whatever you want, basically.
that's what I quite like. I mean, I'm hoping to go away in October, and but I will put in a load of effort in before that. So
Yeah.
when I'm away, I don't see a dip in my sales.
Yeah.
Um, but you can't really do that with a normal job because I know you get paid holiday, I suppose, which is different, but you're just going to get the same amount every month,
Yeah.
regardless. So
That's true. Because we're going away in a couple of days, and I'm just trying to get a few extra listings done at the moment, so that there's a few bits going on while I'm away, and just kind of sort of doing as much as I can to keep eBay ticking along as normal, as close as I am, although it'll be in vacation mode, holiday mode, whatever, to
yeah,
just still keep it ticking along. And I'll still be working on it while on holiday. If someone sends a message, I'll answer it. If someone buys something, I'll send a message saying I'm away. This is the date it's going to be dispatched. And I'll still do that much. But I just, other than that, I will be on holiday and I won't be doing all the major stuff that
yeah,
you would do as a reseller.
yeah.
Right. Derek, we're coming to the end. I've got 3 questions for you.
Yeah.
The first question is, have you got any reselling words of wisdom or a tip or a quote or some kind of mantra that you can share with everybody?
Yeah, I would say consistency on eBay. And what I mean by that, I don't mean like you got to list every day or stuff like that. You just got to do stuff, you know, the same as regularly as you can. So if you start listing at 9 o'clock, then try and do that every day. Or, you could list at least 10 things a day, or, you know, always pack on a Tuesday, or
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, but try and keep,
Have some things that are consistent.
consistency and I suppose a structure to stuff as possible. That's what I would say. Because every time I try to have that. Every time I divert off that for whatever reason, things
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 get
always
messy.
things get all tumble, and it
Yeah.
takes you a few days to get back
It's
to
like I dispatch on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I always do that. And I think that really helps me because then I know that on a Tuesday morning I've not got any packing to do, and I can just get up early and I have a long listing session in a Tuesday morning and a Thursday morning, and it's kind of things like that, isn't it? Where you've got
yeah.
some consistency and you do things in a certain processes and consistency, I guess.
I think eBay like consistency as well. I think that
Yeah,
helps. I know that's like tin hat theories and stuff.
I know. It's all tin hat, isn't it? None of us actually know anything. And some people have got a fair argument when they say, instead of like scheduling stuff, while you're on holiday, just get it up now, because by withholding items, you're spending time where it's not up for sale and no one can buy it. It's like, if you put everything up now, then it's up for sale now and it could sell. Whereas if I schedule something for 2 weeks' time while I'm away, it's like, well, you've missed 2 weeks worth of sales. So I understand, but it just makes me feel better having stuff going on.
Yeah, I'd like to schedule stuff when I'm away, even if it's just stuff I've sold similar. It's generally is sell similar stuff, but at least everything's going. It's still, I tend to start listening at 9 o'clock every day. So I'll schedule them for 9 o'clock. And I do that when I go on holiday, and I also do it at the weekends when I'm not listing either. I schedule it for the 2 days, and I've done that for years and years.
Yeah.
And I don't know if eBay expect me to, but if I stop doing it for whatever reason, I forget or something like that, I always see a drop in sales.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going away Thursday for a couple of weeks, and I've only got 2 listings per day that are new, which I've worked on prior and I've scheduled them. So each evening I've got 2 brand new listings, but then every day I'm going to probably sell similar, about 15-ish, something like that. So there'll be 15 new listings 15 sell similars that will all be reduced in price from what they were previous. And then in an evening, there'll be 2 brand new listings that eBay have never seen. So that's my plan for this particular holiday. Every holiday, I kind of do it differently. Sometimes I'll just do sell similars and nothing new. And sometimes I'll really work hard beforehand and put like 5 or 10 on a day. But I've not done that one for a while, because that takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially to do things like for a week or a couple of weeks. You've got to do a lot of new listings.
It's a fair amount of listings in it. That's why I only went for 2 this time. I don't know whether I was being a bit lazy or what, but yeah, I just decided to do 2, and the rest are going to be sell similar. Yeah. What is your best, or you can give us your most unusual sale?
Well, I can give you both if you want.
Go on then.
Well, I actually dig this out because that's my most unusual sale.
So what are you holding up there for anyone listening?
This is an old battery. So I buy old radios and stuff, and occasionally you get these old batteries. So this is like from the 80s or something.
Ever ready. I remember those.
Things like this sell. So that's my weird sale. So I sell these old flat batteries, and people buy them for props and
stuff.
If you ever get things like that, I think this sells for about £10, £15.
Really? For an old battery that doesn't work anymore?
And I sell, AA batteries or the C-size batteries, a bundle of 6 or something for £5 or £6. So I put them on there. But that's almost as sort of just for a laugh, if you like. It's not going to bring you much money, but I've got them, and I don't. Somebody useful for somebody, aren't they? For a prop, for a movie prop or something like that. Exactly. It's a shame to dispose of them, as long as they're in good condition. I've got like a big bundle of them. You can't just sell one of them, so it doesn't really.
Yeah,
one of these sells, but the normal one like that. That's a modern one, but something like that that's from the 80s, that wouldn't sell. But if you've got like 10 of them, so that's my weird sale.
Okay.
The best sale, and I think it's my best sale, and I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it is when I think I was still part-time or just gone full-time. But I went to a car boot sale. On the way back from the car boot sale, we called in at like a BT warehouse that was clearing the warehouse, and they had all this old electronic computer equipment, really random vintage type stuff, and it was all getting sold off cheap. I think somebody had bought the warehouse with all the contents, and they just wanted shot of it. It wasn't actually BT I was dealing with. Anyway, so I'd been to the boot sale, so this was like tailing off. A lot of the good stuff had sold. Anyway, I bought a load of weird sort electronic equipment. Still don't really know what they were. I think they were power supplies for some big sort of computer things. And I bought loads of them, and I sold loads of them for about a year after, on and off. But I had a ka-ching for 2,500, which was a bundle of them. I think there was 4 of them or something like that.
Right.
And that's been my best sale, I think.
Jesus.
But I had loads of these things, but I got there towards the end. If I got there first,
You'd have had all
I
kinds of stuff, probably.
reckon that would have been a crazy haul. But yeah, I think I was too late to the
What a
party.
ka-ching that is to get. You know, your
But that was
phone goes ka-ching. You have a look at it, £2,500 sale.
yeah.
You're like, I hope they pay. You
Yeah.
don't get a return.
Well, yeah, I think when I got the sale, I sent it all off. I don't think I think I sort of kept the money there sort of separate for about a month or something to make sure I didn't get a return.
Just in case. Yeah,
But
that's
I never really have a problem with the high value stuff. It's always the lower
Yeah,
value.
it's always a lower value. I think it's the same. That's a hell of
Um,
a sale, that though. That's awesome.
but I think I can't remember. I think it might have been on this podcast. It might have been a different live, but somebody mentioned about the sales chart on eBay being messed up because you got a massive ka-ching and then all the others just the normal. You can't for
Yeah.
about a month. You can't see any of your results.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think it was. Was it? It might have been Peter last week, actually. I'm not sure. But yeah, it messes it up because it stretches your chart, doesn't it? And it makes
Yeah,
all the rest of your days look tiny.
yeah.
Oh man, that is a good sale though. That's brilliant. Have you got a goal for the next year?
Yes, you probably
I
guessed
wonder
this.
what that might be.
Yeah, my goal is to get the business into the barn. So that's the shelving and all the
But
stock.
ideally, you want to be done by Christmas, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be talking like in the next 12 months. That
Oh
you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. Yeah,
Just
12
from now,
months.
a year from now,
Yeah, a year from now would be to get
you'll be
the
done.
shelving in there and stuff. Yeah,
You'll
but
be
the end of
working
this
on barn
year,
number 2 by then.
the end of this year, I'd just be happy to get it finished. You know, the
To
actual
get the
building.
actual shell done.
Yeah, it's more or less that I've got one wall to do. So there's a lot of stuff to view
It
on
makes sense. It makes sense that would be your goal, definitely.
Yeah. So then I can move out of this room. I mean, I'm hoping to work in there, but I still don't know how it's going to be over the winter.
Are you
with
going to
the
heat it,
stuff.
or how are you going to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, my eventual idea is to have an office in the other barn, but initially I was going to put a computer in the barn I've just done in the corner, sort of thing, photography area, and I want to work out there, so everything's in there. But long term, I want the other barn to be the office and the photography area and stuff. But I'm going to have a computer in there, and I'll just work in there. But I don't know if it's going to be cold, in the winter or not. I have insulated it a bit, but not really.
Can you extend your central heating in there, or?
I probably could, but I haven't because
Is that something you could do,
I
or would you have to get somebody in to do that?
I could do the. I've done the plumbing for the house, so I probably could do that. But I don't know if I'd have to get a new boiler because I think the house is pretty much at its capacity for that
Maximum.
size of boiler, and the boiler's old as well. But I think my plan is just to have like oil-filled radiator in there or something like that, electric.
Yeah.
Because there's all electrics done in there now, so that's all done.
Okay.
So yeah, but the insulation isn't great because I had to compromise on the cost because insulation is very expensive. And at the end of the day, I had to think it's literally just a warehouse. So I'm not going to be living in there.
Be sensible about it, haven't you?
Yes, I mean my plan when I do this other barn is to basically make a room for an office in there and insulate the hell out of that room. So it
Yeah.
really sort of, I can heat it and it will retain the heat. And I'm only heating that small room rather than the whole barn, because I think, you know, put a radiator in there, it's just gonna all disappear pretty quick,
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I guess you're going to find out with your current barn, the one that you're
Yeah,
finishing, because we're coming now into sort of autumn, and you're going to
yeah,
find out how warm it is in there or not.
yeah, yeah. But at the end of the day, I'd be happy for the meantime to work in this office, um, with that just being storage, if it is too cold to work, which I
Yeah.
think it probably will be. I think it'll
Yeah.
be okay, but you know, it's probably going to be nicer to work in here. And because I'll be in there and all my stuff will be in there, I'll be able to tidy all this out, and this will be a nicer work area anyway. The only thing is my sort of dream, I suppose, is to get all the tat out the house. And if I'm working in here, then that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
So it's not ideal, but for the short term, until I've done the other barn, that
Yeah.
might just be the
At
case.
least at least most of your like listed stock will be out, and the
Yeah,
other stuff that you're working on and listing on, you know, it will come in and then go out fairly quickly, maybe.
yeah, and it's quite a, you know, you come into my office, it's quite a quick sort of direct route into the office. So
Yeah.
I'm not carrying crazy piles of dusty
Yeah.
tat all over the house, sort of thing.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
it's not too bad.
One last question from Ian G on YouTube. He says Q4 is coming up. What is everyone aiming for the next few months? Have you got any extra like ideas or plans? Are you looking to source different stuff for this Christmas or what?
Um, no, not really. I'll probably be doing what I always do, is just basically buy lots of stock. So I've got more stock than I can deal with. So when the boot sales go a bit rubbisher, then I can just source from the stock room, sort of thing. But my boot sale, there is a couple of boot sales still running here,
Okay,
so I can still source
you can still
fairly
get stuff.
decently. My regular contact, he sort of goes away, I think. But I have met him a couple of times out with the boot sale, so maybe I could do some sort of arrangement there to get
Yeah.
stock. And
Mm,
it's worth it for him as well, I guess. But I'll see about that. But yeah, I'll probably just buy as much stock as I can basically from now for the next
yeah.
month or a couple of months. That's what I
Yeah.
usually do.
Yeah. Makes sense. I've just picked up. I mentioned it last night. I picked up a massive job lot of stuff from someone who contacted me, who follows the channel, and it's all in the loft at the minute. But there's hundreds of items. It's like it's all toys, it's collectibles, figures, games. There's gaming stuff in there. So that is literally going to be my Christmas
Yeah,
sorted with just that one lot. It's just a ton of stuff.
yeah,
A lot of good stuff as well. Like there's a boxed original Nintendo in really nice condition with all the insides and everything. Looks really nice. Loads of other stuff. Tons of Funkos. All perfect for Christmas, really. So it came really at the right time. So I'm really glad that I made an effort to try and go and get that, because I don't know after holiday whether it still would have been there, or maybe the guy would have sold elsewhere or something.
yeah. Do have to jump on these deals
Got to
as
jump
soon as
on it, yeah. And that's what Belle was actually the one saying to me. She was like, you really should do this, because this will be Christmas sorted for you.
yeah,
Take
yeah,
the pressure off, going to the boots and stuff, because I can just work on that.
yeah. It's quite high pressure when you sort of the boot sales start to get a little bit smaller.
Yeah,
There's not that much there. Is and if you're running out of stock, I mean, I've always I have got quite a lot of death pile
well,
stock.
I'm the same. I've got quite a big death pile. I could quite easily get through the winter without going to any boot sales, but
Yeah.
beyond
But
that,
I'd
I would
like to
probably
get new.
start. And I do a lot of clothing as well, Derek. So I can just source clothing online without even any issue. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one thing I stay away from, is clothing.
yeah,
I've
apart
I've
from
tried
trainers.
I've tried it, but I never had much success at it.
I mean, clothing's good because it helps you kind of smooth over the ups and downs across the year. I think clothing, because everyone always needs clothing, and clothing sells all year round. So, like, if you're in a niche, you might have ups and downs throughout a year. But then, if you also do clothing, also helps to kind of level that curve a bit. That's what I've found.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
I've
not for
al
everyone. I understand that. I detested clothing when I first started. I didn't touch it. No chance was I going anywhere near clothes. I didn't even do trainers. Clothing or trainers, didn't even look at it.
yeah. See, I
Um,
don't mind trainers. I can
yeah,
quite easily list trainers without really any issue. With
yeah.
clothing, I just can't. I just can't get my mind around it.
Trainers,
So,
I think, have changed a lot over the last few years. I think because of the cost of brand new trainers, like you look at a pair of like new Nikes or something these days, easily 100 quid plus for
yeah,
a decent pair of Nikes. People can't afford it, and it's
yeah,
people are much more willing, I think, now to look at secondhand trainers. Where I think a few years ago there was kind of a bit of a stigma around sort of the health and hygiene aspect of buying secondhand trainers. But I think now, I think as long as they're in nice, half decent condition,
yeah,
um, I think a lot of people. I never thought I'd buy secondhand trainers and wear 'em myself. I've got 2 pairs of On Cloud that I bought secondhand that, cost me sort of 30 to 50 quid that are £200 trainers. It's like,
yeah,
why wouldn't you buy secondhand?
yeah. I mean, I I don't mind listing trainers, and I know Daniel, my son, he's quite into buying these trainers himself, and he's got
Yeah.
a couple of second-hand trainers, and doesn't seem to worry him, and he's 17. But I don't know if because he's mentioned it to his mates that he does trainers, sells trainers. I think a few of them are quite sort of interested. Some of them just think, what's he doing, sort of
Ew,
selling
why would you
the
do that,
second-hand trainers? Yeah.
secondhand trainers? But
But,
yeah.
yeah, some of them are quite interested. I think some of them wanted to do it themselves,
Mm,
but he wasn't keen on that because they'd go to his same boot sale
exactly, yeah,
he
it's like, "Nah, don't
so
bother it. I'm
so
not earning much money and it's a lot of work and you gotta get up at 5 in the morning." That normally puts them off.
yeah.
Right, we're done, Derek, I think. We've been going long. This is the longest podcast that we've ever had. This this is the longest one, but it's been really interesting, and thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to everybody in the chat. I'm just looking now; there's loads of people that have been joining us. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, or any of the other audio channels, please don't forget to use that download button. That's the equivalent of subscribing to us on YouTube. It's really important for the stats. It's important for the podcasting channels to know whether a particular podcast is worth listening to or not. So please hit the download button. And yeah, pretty much that is it. Thank you so much, Derek. Where can people find you again? Do you want to remind everybody?
Yes, I'm, on, YouTube as Tap Peddler. Also on, Instagram as Tap Peddler, but I hardly ever post on there, but keep on meaning to start. But yeah, mainly on YouTube as Tap
Okay,
Peddler.
cool. And I can't wait to see the finale of this barn.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
it's
have
a long running saga that I'm fully invested in, so I've got to finish it now.
well, there's an episode due out very soon, next couple of days. It's all edited
Okay.
and ready, so that will go up. I'm going to try and catch up because what I want to do is when I start to deck it out with the shelving and stuff, I would quite like a bit of advice from the viewers. I'm always behind on the videos, but I'm getting to
Yeah.
the point where I think maybe 4 or 5 more videos and I'll be up to
And you'll
date.
have caught up. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's been a huge gap, from
Yeah.
I think I know it's a year ago, but it's probably from November or October, November last year to April. I didn't go in the barn at all. It was basically I just left it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's not a huge amount of extra stuff. So yeah,
Okay. We're looking forward to that. And thank you again to our sponsors for the podcast, Accelerator. If you're interested in learning more about Sellerator and what it can do for you, there is a link in the description below, both on the podcast and on YouTube. There's also a link to Derek's channel on both the podcast and YouTube. If you want it, all you have to do is click that and you can go and subscribe to Derek. That's it, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks again, Derek, and take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's it for today's episode of the Everything Reselling podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, to follow, or to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you on the next episode.